Hi dear, welcome back to my channel. And in our previous video we have discussed on the concept of research and research paradigm. So in today's session we will discuss on the research ethics. This is a very pertinent topic in all type of research, as without knowing about research ethics you cannot actually conduct any kind of research. So if you are planning to do research in future, then kindly listen this very carefully, as it will help you in preventing any unforeseen consequences in the future. So before proceeding on the main content, let me first warn you that this video is going to be a much lengthier than the previous videos. However, if you are willing to learn, then you won't actually realize the time. Thus, kindly try to watch the video till the end, because it will. When it comes to rules and regulation and norms, there is a saying that little knowledge is a dangerous thing. So you cannot just go to the ground and do research just after knowing half of the rules and regulation of research. So if you recall about the last session, I have mentioned that one of the component of research paradigm is axiology, that studies what is right and what is wrong. So today's discussion topic, that is the research ethics, falls under the axiological aspects of the research. So these are the content that we will be covering today. That is research ethics, concept research ethics, the history and evolution, the formation of codes, and the types of research misconduct, why this research misconduct occurs and consequences, and then measures to check the research misconduct, and the list of ethical association in India, followed by conclusion. So let us see on what is research ethics. So ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the dynamics of decision making concerning what is right and what is wrong, what is human and what is inhuman, what is ethically right, ethical and unethical. So research ethics involves the application of fundamental ethical principles concerning all aspects involving in a scientific research. Research ethics concern the responsibility of the researcher to be honest and respectful to all individuals who are affected by the research, either directly or indirectly, on their studies, and also after the reporting of the study. So the objective of research ethics are: the first and the broadest objective is to protect the human participant. The second objective is to ensure that research is conducted in a way that serves the interests of the individuals and community as a whole. So the second objective says that you cannot just conduct research because you are interested and it's going to benefit you. No, it cannot be like that. The research has to be beneficial for the entire society. So finally, the third objective is to examine specific research activities and projects for their ethical soundness, looking at issues such as the management of risks, the protection of confidentiality, and the process of informed consent. So let us look on the history of the evolution of research ethics, like why there was a need to have a code of conduct on the first place. So the Nazi experimentation on the concentration camp was one of the first reason. So what happened during the Second World War? The Germany became a superpower by occupying and defeating neighboring countries such as Poland, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, Netherlands, France, Greece, Yugoslavia, among others. But eventually the Germany, they didn't win the war, but still at the beginning they were very powerful. And during the Second World War, what happened? The Nazi government belonging to the National Socialist Party, political party headed by Adolf Hitler, conducted a series of medical experimentations on the prisoners of war. So the people involved in the prisoners of war belongs to a ethnic community, with majority being Jewish people, Romanian and Sinti people, among others. So this period is considered as the greatest Holocaust, and it's led to the mass murder and death of millions of people. So this Holocaust actually acted as an instrumental event in the formation of the ethical code of conduct. So in this picture you can see how the experiment was conducted, and then this was how it was conducted. So the German states authorized a variety of different medical experiments on the prisoners in the concentration camp. The experiments were conducted without even having given any consent to the participant, without giving the right to the participant to withdraw from the research, and they were even subjected to freezing temperatures. They were subjected to bodily harm, and after all these inhuman atrocities, the other countries, especially the European countries and United States, they condemned these inhuman atrocities and criticized the Nazi experimentation, and Germany, the Adolf Hitler government. Then this was how the doctors who conducted the experiment defended their stand. They said that the experiment in the concentration camp didn't actually differ to other forms of medical experimentation conducted in the past. they said that there were no international law that were outlining the differences between ethically acceptable and unacceptable research. They even said that they even went on saying that they were trying to help the German military personnel to survive at the front line by finding treatments for injuries and illness. So this was how they defended themselves. So next we will look on the one more example, that is Tuskegee syphilis study. So it was conducted during 1932 till 1972. So this syphilis is a sexually transmitted disease that is caused by a bacterium known as Treponema pallidum. So this experiment was conducted on poor African American communities that were actually suffering from advanced level of syphilis. So they were misinformed and told that they were actually receiving free healthcare treatment from the federal government about their treatment to study about bad blood instead of syphilis. So the experimenter, the researcher or the doctors who were researching, they actually knew that they were suffering from syphilis, but instead of telling them about their whereabouts, about the consequences, they actually misinformed them, and they didn't tell them that they were suffering from syphilis. Instead, they said that they were suffering from bad blood. So, this advanced level of syphilis, in extreme cases, it can lead to the damage of central nervous system, such as brain, and even it can damage the nerves. And then they were deliberately kept untreated to see the long-term effects of the injection, the drug that they were given. Even after the treatment for syphilis became available in 1947, that is penicillin. So this penicillin was actually discovered by Alexander Fleming in 1928, but it was only in 1947 that that scientists came to know that penicillin can actually cure the syphilis. But see how this research was conducted. Even after the cure was there, they didn't actually tell them about the cure, and they went on giving those medicine that they were giving before. And actually the participants were informed that this experiment will last only for 6 months at the beginning, but it was extended till 40 years. And during this 40 years, over 400 men were experimented, and it caused the death of around 128 of them. So you can see how inhuman atrocities were conducted during research in the past. This is the reason why there was a need for formation of a code of conduct in research. So this was the formation of Code of Ethics. The first of its kind was Nuremberg Code of 1947. So the Nazi experiment led to the formation of this code. So this code focuses on the voluntary informed consent, liberty of withdrawal from the research, protection from physical and mental harm or suffering and death. And it emphasizes on the risk-benefit balance. But even though after having this positive aspect about the code, the code was criticized or because it was found out that it was actually plagiarized from 1931 guidelines, which was given by Weimar government. This Weimar government was there in the Germany before Adolf Hitler's Nazi government came into power. So the Weimar government in 1931 actually gave the guideline of how to conduct the research, but as we all know that the Nazi government of Adolf Hitler was a dictatorship government, therefore they didn't listen to any guidelines given by Weimar government. And the second criticism was that two of the American physicians who helped prosecute the Nazi experimentations at the Nuremberg were also the author of this code. So this was these two criticism of this code. And the next is the World Medical Association's Declaration of Helsinki 1964. So this association also talks about the same thing, the given voluntary consent and liberty of withdrawal and all this. And besides this, it also talks about allowing proxy consent to be given in cases where the research subject is unable to consent on their behalf. And on their behalf, the legal guardian can actually consent. So it means if the research participants are infant or even the children, minor, then that time the legal guardian can actually consent on their behalf. And even on those experiments where the participants are mentally retarded or mentally disturbed, so that time the legal guardian can consent on their behalf. So the next is the National Research Act of 1974. It was passed by 93rd United States Congress for the purpose of developing guidelines for the protection of human subjects participating in biomedical and behavioral research. So we all know that in biomedical and behavioral research means all those psychological and psychiatrical research. So in this research area, even a minor mistake can cause a very little harm to the participant. Therefore, this National Research Act was specially meant for this biomedical and behavioral research. So next we will see on the types of research misconduct. These are some of the types. So according to Federal Research Misconduct Policy of 1999, it states that research misconduct is defined as the fabrication, falsification, and plagiarism in proposing, in performing, or in reviewing research, or even in reporting the research results. So fabrication means reporting of research experiments that actually never happened on the first place. So plagiarism means using someone else's work as your own without actually giving any proper citation. It also includes using your own earlier published work or ideas without proper citation, which is known as self-plagiarism. So this is known as plagiarism, and falsification is it includes the manipulating of research materials, equipment, processes, data, or results of conflicting data without scientific or statistical justification. Besides these three, there are others also. Some of the other research misconduct, such as fraud. It means deliberate suppression of previous work in publication and inappropriate claim of originality or avoiding a quoting of previous publications which are contrary to your present results. So next is inappropriate authorship. It means excluding genuine contributor from authorship, including non-contributor in the research, or even claiming authorship for oneself without actually having made any meaningful contribution. So next is embezzlement of ideas. It means claiming an idea to be one's own while it was actually obtained from privileged access. So next is non-compliance of regulatory guidelines. It means deliberate violation of ethical guidelines accepted for human and animal research, non-adherence to biosafety regulations, or inappropriate use of the research funds. So in order to avoid this, you have to know the regulatory guidelines. As we all know that the regulatory guidelines differ from country to country, and even the university have their own regulatory guidelines. Even the funding government, there are various funding organizations that funds the research. They also have their own guidelines, so you have to know all those guidelines. And then withholding the data from validation. It means not providing data or research materials to the institution or journal for verification process. So next is why this research misconduct occurs. So these are some of the reasons, very common reasons I have taken. This is not exclusive, there are many others. So the first one is ignorance. So research misconduct can also occur unknowingly due to ignorance and due to procrastination also. And then academic publication pressure. This is because we all know that during a research period, you have to publish a number of journals, articles. Therefore, there is a pressure. That time also sometimes people unknowingly conduct research misconduct. And then self-plagiarism, as I have already said, that using of your own previous work without proper citation, it is self-plagiarism. So next is financial gain. This is actually this happened due to uh, intentionally, because some people they try to do 2-3 research at a time by having taking funds from different organizations at the same time. So this is also a research misconduct. You cannot take funds from 2 organizations at one time. So next is limited vocabulary and writing skills. This is seen in people who are non-native English speakers. And then next is uninformed about ethical codes. And I have already said that the different university have their own ethical code. Different organization who are giving funding, they have their own ethical code, and even it differs from country to country. So you have to know all this. The next is inadequate training. So if you are not aware about the research misconduct and how to avoid it, then you can also land up doing research misconduct. Therefore, you should have a proper training. That means awareness and all, sensitization. And then next is falling prey in literary journals. So what are the consequences of research misconduct? So these are some of the consequences: rejection from research grant, and then blacklist from publishing in reputed journals, and retraction of published work. And it can also lead to discrediting previous research published articles. And in extreme cases, it can also lead to dismissal from the PhD course. So This falsifying data is in any way can cause the readers to doubt one's own opinion, to lose faith in one's argument and research, and this can have serious implications, and it may result in a distorted perception of a subject, leading to incorrect theories being built and then tested based on the manipulated data. Therefore, you have to avoid research misconduct in every time. You have to avoid this. And then these are some of the measures how you can avoid research misconduct. So before conducting research, you should have you developed a clear and precise research design of how you are going to do research and how you are going to conduct, and at the time frame which you are going to follow. So next is do thorough background study of the literature in order to avoid publishing or doing research on those areas which are already been done. So next is having thorough knowledge of the legitimate sources. And then legitimate sources means from where you can get authentic information. You have to know all those areas, all those even online websites from which you can get legitimate sources. You have to know all those, and then take approval from the concerned university, research participant or organization before conducting the research. And next is stay informed about the ethical codes of the university, the funding authorities, and of one's own country. So while conducting the research, you can check the feasibility of your research. Like we have a time period in like for example in PhD there is 5 years, so you have to check the feasibility and then follow the research protocol, and consult expert whenever you are confused or you don't know what to do, and then clearly communicate the research objective, consequences, time, and other aspects to the participants who are involved in the research, and then enforce proper data management strategies. For example, if you are keeping your data in your devices, electronic devices, then you have to be careful that your devices are safe, and there is and no one can take the data from your devices and misuse them. So you have to have those strategies. And then after research, you can practice proper referencing management software for accuracy, and you can even use plagiarism tools, and cite and give due credit to the author while using others' ideas, and then follow publication ethics, avoid the predatory journals, publish in reputed journals. For example, in India we have UGC care list journals and Scopus journals. You can follow them, and then it keeps on changing every year, so you have to be aware about every year you have to check. And then next is avoid self-referencing and self-plagiarism, avoid data manipulation and inappropriate authorship practices. And then these are some of the ethical association in India. The promotion of academic integrity and prevention of plagiarism in higher education institution. It was developed by UGC on September 2017. They should apply to the students, researcher, faculty, and staff of all higher educational institutions in the country in India. So UGC also set up consortium for academic and research ethics, that is UGC Care List, on January 2019. The main task of UGC Care List is to improve the quality of the research in Indian universities and to promote academic and research integrity as well as the publication ethics. So the next is a research ethics committees or institutional review board. So these are available in all universities and educational institutions where research are conducted. So the university and research institution are instituting such bodies to review the research, both conducted by the students, the research scholars, as well as by the faculty. So the minimum number of the members should be 5 in this institutional review board. Of this, external member not to be connected to the institution and must be in a majority. So out of 5, 3 should be external members who are not connected to the institution directly. So the proceedings of the meetings of these research ethics committees should be formally documented and filed. So in conclusion, it can be said that the use of research ethics are extremely pertinent in order to make the research free from any inhuman atrocities and sufferings that may actually occur to the research participant. So therefore, in order to make the practice of ethical codes and principles as an integral part of higher education in India, the UGC in its 543rd meeting held on 9th August 2019 had approved incorporation of 2 credit courses for awareness about publication ethics and misconducts entitled Research and Publication Ethics to be made mandatory for all PhD scholars for pre-registration coursework. Therefore, in all type of PhD registration coursework of 6 months, there is a 2 credit course that is entirely dedicated to the research and publication ethics. So UGC has made it mandatory for university to have 2 credit course in PhD registration coursework. So these are the references, and thank you all for listening till the end. And I want to end this with the quote given by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and he said that even those rational approach to ethics is defenseless if there is not the will to do what is right. So this is so true when it comes to research ethics. So therefore, meet you all in my next video on research. Till then, take care.